He sees how well acting Governor Blair Lee does with the General Assembly. Egyptian President Anwar Sadat winds up his campaign for U.S. support today. Sadat will meet with Secretary of State Vance and later in the day with President Carter before heading home. Following the meeting, the White House is expected to issue a statement that may include a decision on Sadat's request for U.S. fighter planes. Yesterday, Sadat met with key congressional leaders and later in the day with the Congressional Black Caucus. Chairman Perrin Mitchell says a Mideast peace is something blacks have a stake in.
Certainly we as representatives of black Americans have an enormous stake in world peace. We know that where there is war or the threat of war or the potential for war, there always occurs an enormous shift in America's military budget. It always increases to the detriment and to the cost of our domestic programs. So this caucus has a huge stake in helping others to achieve world peace.
Mitchell presented Sadat with a plaque from Baltimore's Afro-American newspaper honoring Sadat for his peace efforts.
Left on our streets.
The owners of Baltimore's taxi cabs claim they face extinction if they are forced to pay their automobile insurance premiums 3 months in advance. They claim that's the new policy instituted by the Maryland Auto Insurance Fund, a state-run insurer of high-risk drivers. MAFE's offices were closed today because of the holiday, but the cabbies claim they were given just 3 weeks' notice to pay what amounts to be $700 or $800 by April 1st or abandon their cabs.
It's just going to put me out of business. That's all it's going to do to me. I can't afford to pay it. It's $1,600 something I got to come up with, and I don't have that kind of money.
Well, it looks like it's going to put me out of business if I can't borrow the money, because we're only people that work from day to day, and whatever we got from one day, we don't know about the next day.
In addition to the severe insurance demands the cabbies say they are faced with, they must contend with still another problem: hackers or illegal unlicensed cabbies stealing business from them.
There's at least 500 of them working in the city that have no insurance, or let's say the improper insurance.
Not licensed by the PSC.
Right. And they can solicit, turn down all the fares they want, and they can do basically what they want. The public service doesn't have any jurisdiction over them because they don't fall under that agency. The police don't want to fool with it. I mean, what are we paying absorbent rates of insurance to buy a new car every 4 years?
I'm Frank Luber, Channel 13, Eyewitness News.
Well, teenage crime is usually linked to boys, but city investigators say they're closing in on some young girls. And Steve Frazier has more in part 2 of his series on juvenile crime, Not My Child.
Before the week is out, a grand jury impaneled in Baltimore will probably indict several adults for their part in a prostitution ring in the city. The ring employs teenage girls.
They're 14 going on 40. They've been around. And the sad part about it is they're not going to come back. They're never going to be young kids anymore. They're not going to be 15 or 16 years old because they've experienced too much.
Some of the girls are as young as 13 and 14 years old, many of them with venereal disease or hooked on drugs. Juvenile investigators blame their current predicament on their earlier home life.
For some reason, something happened in the house that they could not get along. They couldn't get along with their parents, they couldn't get along with their brothers and sisters, and they had no place to go. So where'd they go? They go on the street. All of them have left home. They're runaways. They're having troubles in school, and they're having troubles being adolescents. They're having a very difficult time growing up. So it's a very little thing for them to do, to sell their body in what they're going to get for it. They're going to get no hassle. They're going to be away from home. Nobody's going to pressure them to go to school. They're going to have a place to crash, a place to stay. They can do and come as they want. And in return, they're going to sell their bodies. And it's a very little thing for them.
When the grand jury finishes its work, the major arrests will be of adults. The future of the girls is uncertain now. Next time, we'll consider how hard it is for parents to get help for a troubled child if they want it. Steve Frazier, Channel 13, Eyewitness News.
There are a number of private daycare centers, like this one at Homewood, run by churches and private groups throughout the city that also provide services to youngsters whose parents can't afford the average $40 per week for daycare. The Department of Social Services reimburses these centers for the care of children with low family incomes. But because of the current daycare placement freeze, private centers, depending on city daycare placements, are also hurting.
Our particular center has taken a 5% decrease in salary because of the daycare center freeze. Our capacity is 17 and it's 20 and we only have 17 children. And because we can't maintain our budget, we are a nonprofit daycare center. Our staff has taken a 5% decrease in salary rather than take a reduction in another part of the program, which would take away from the quality of the program.
And right now, there doesn't seem to be any relief in sight, although lobbyist groups like the Maryland Committee for the Daycare of Children are working for more daycare funding and a coordination of all the various services.
We're constantly upgrading the care that we do provide, more training for family daycare mothers, more training for our staff in our centers. But there are too many children who are getting substandard care right now because there simply isn't enough daycare.
But in spite of all the problems, lack of coordination of services, lack of funding, and lack of staff, the advantages to the children, to their parents, and even those who work in daycare far outweigh the disadvantages.
I've been in daycare for now 13 years, and I feel that daycare is good for young children, and of course we have 3- and 4-year-olds. So we're here to stress socialization, and children at 3 are ready for interacting with other children in a small group setting.
What's your name?
Brian Howard Burroughs.
Tell me about daycare, Brian. Do you learn a lot here?
Yeah.
Like what? What are some of the things you do around here?
Little things that just have music, though.
Music? You like music?
Work time.
And what else?
We draw pictures and paint.
Are you a pretty good painter? You a pretty good musician, too? You're pretty good everything.
Yeah.